Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Bob Worsley, LD 25 in Mesa, and I'm chairman of the Transportation Committee in the Senate. This original ADOT omnibus had a number of things that the agency wanted, including the ability to start charging and entering into some commercial activities like some advertising around rest areas and things like that. Some very benign things that they wanted to do this year. And as only probably Rusty Bowers can attest, these omnibus bills start to grow things as they move along through the process. The one that on the motorcycle amendment, that seemed to be acceptable pretty early on, so it got attached in, I think, transportation. And then it's picked up 3 more riders, 3 more passengers on the omnibus here the last couple of days. The one I'll address, because it was my bill that made its way to this bill that's my bill, was the voluntary travel ID. And to many of you that were here back in the late 2000s, after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, we found that the 19 terrorists had 33 bogus state driver's licenses. And that's how they had managed, after they came into the country, to move around really without being detected. And so one of the results of 9/11 and kind of doing the study of what do we need to do was a George W. Bush bill that he had signed in 2005. And it ended up picking up a name that became a bad word, like the Patriot Act, and it was the RealID bill. Our governor in 2008 was Janet Napolitano. She was having a war with Bush's Homeland Security Chief, Chernoff, I think was his name. And in that process, Kristen Sinema and Janet Napolitano led an effort to, I'll say, get back at the Bush administration. And they ran this ban of RealID. And it actually got some traction even amongst the Republicans that were here. And it ended up being passed pretty handily here in Arizona. And we became one of the states that said, we're not doing this, period. It got characterized as something that was going to be a national ID card, that there would be surveillance, unauthorized surveillance of people with this new driver's license, RealID driver's license. And there were allegations that would be sharing of database information with the federal government. All as kind of the part of the Patriot Act kind of move. Long story short, the federal government gave $250 million to the states to implement this. About $9 million of that came to Arizona. And we were banned from implementing it, but the ideas seemed sound, and the money was used to increase the security of how we put our driver's licenses together, because today you can get an Arizona driver's license made in China for $5. And it's really indistinguishable from a valid license. So about 5 or 6 states have held out. We're one of them. Idaho's one of them. Maine is one of them. Louisiana is one of them. The other states have come along and have agreed to do the security measures to make the card more secure. Enter now, 10 years after the bill was introduced in Congress, and the federal government is starting to enforce, after 10 years and giving all the states money, they are starting to enforce whether or not this card, your driver's license in your state, can be used to access federal buildings, nuclear facilities, military facilities, and starting in 2016, aircraft. TSA letting you use a license to get on an aircraft. Because we have not finished the implementation because of our ban in 2008, we are in a place where we can't go anywhere, And we risk, in my opinion, running into a situation that started on January 17th of 2015, 2 months ago, where some of our citizens have gone to federal facilities and have been denied access with their Arizona driver's license, and they've been told to bring a passport to the meetings to get into the facilities. That will continue to be tightened up this year. Homeland Security tells me they will have completed all federal facilities by October of this year, and they look to a January launch to have TSA start implementing the enforcement of this law. So we face, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, we face a lot of citizens of Arizona that may want to travel and access federal facilities or military facilities, and after this 10-year period, we're going to be asked to bring passports to travel domestically, which I think is unacceptable. I just spent $300 to go to China with the passport and the visa and the expedited fees, and I think folks are going to be a little irritated if they don't have a current passport that they're going to be asked to carry that with them to access facilities and airplanes. So my compromise, because I'm not here to ban or relieve the ban of RealID, I think there were some reasons we felt that was a good idea. I said, let's go halfway in between and let's make this an opt-in. If someone is traveling a lot or accesses military bases, nuclear plants, or federal facilities, and they want to go down to MVD and pay the fee, they can get an Arizona driver's license that has the RealID star in it, that's put together the right way so it can't be copied, and they can travel with a new Arizona driver's license that is acceptable to all of these folks that we have to face when we go to these facilities. And we're calling that a voluntary travel ID, because in Arizona, RealID is banned. And I'm not here asking you to lift the ban. I'm asking you to allow Arizona citizens to go down to MVD and get an opt-in card instead of making them carry a federal passport to travel domestically or to access federal buildings. So that's all that and it means that you have to go down every 8 years and have a new picture taken, because again, the 9/11 felt like we need pretty current pictures of who's on this license. So those of you that have got until, like Miss Ugente here, she probably doesn't have to get a license for 40 years. She's young and she's got a lot of time before she has to go. But if you want to travel, you're going to have to go every 8 years and get a new picture on this travel document. So Arizona, if we pass this, will have a new voluntary travel ID card that will meet the requirements of TSA, and you can travel. And we expect it to cost about $15, about what it costs today to get a driver's license. Senator Rick Gray.
I just want to thank you, Senator Worsley, for initiating this, because this does make it voluntary. It allows those that have concerns and don't want to have it to not need it and just drive around the country. So I appreciate your effort on this, your forward thinking on this, and bringing this forward. And I think it's a good solution for our situation.
Chairman Olson and Representative Gray, I did fail to mention one thing. This new voluntary travel card will not have a chip or any radio frequency technology embedded in it. It will be as benign in your pocket as your current driver's license. It is just structured with plastics and anti-counterfeit measures like a dollar bill so that it cannot be copied easily. And that's all that this is. And by the way, if you have to carry a passport, your passport has radio frequency and chip on it. And that's what most people found in 2008 when this was debated most objectionable. that the Arizona driver's license would have some kind of chip on it that could follow you around and could be monitored by the federal government. This license does not have any such technology on it.